your whole world is information. So everything that enters your brain from touch, from seeing, or for hearing, everything that enters your brain is information. And a brain-computer interface can provide information to the brain, which means that a brain-computer interface, in theory, can provide a completely immersive experience from the brain that's indistinguishable from everyday life and can augment everyday life in a way that, like, while we're having this conversation right now, let's think of all the things, like, if we were like on Zoom and you're willing to tolerate a little bit of latency, there are voice changers. So you could be like, I kind of would rather him be Morgan Freeman. And now, like, consider the fact that, like, a BCI that's connected to your auditory system could do the same thing and could do it with a latency that could probably keep up with real time. And so that's just like a weird changing thing. The other thing would be like facial recognition. Some people are not very good at recognizing faces. The ultimate AR/VR system would help you with that. And there's already kind of creepy glasses that people wear and try to do that, but it could just be built into your visual system.
So it almost like enriches what you're already thinking about.
Absolutely.
And can allow you to go do kind of what your brain already does, but just do it better in an improved fashion.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that all of the medical devices that we're building to restore vision for people who can't see become the ultimate AR/VR experience for someone who can't see. The medical device that we would build for someone who's deaf becomes that cool sort of voice augmentation, automated translation system that could be in line for a person who can hear to hear. Even things like people who are paralyzed will probably want to be able to move humanoid robotics so that they can, like, do their own chores in their house. But then it becomes like, well, why couldn't I do that too? Or why do I have to be limited to the humanoid robotic in my house? Why couldn't I also have one at my kid's house so that when my grandkids need, like, help, I can, like, I have 3 kids. Like, how am I going to help all of my 3 kids when they're all having kids at the same time? Well, I could have 3 different robots in 3 different homes, and I could control them over the internet. Like, and these are things that, we're not building those things right now. We're not building those applications right now, but the tech stack that we're building to enable paralyzed people better autonomy in their homes is literally the exact tech stack that you would build to do the things that I just said.
Is most of that is all through the motor cortex too, or what other parts of the brain do you see?
The first applications in BCI are going to be the places we've studied the best.
Okay.
Sensory areas and motor areas.
Okay.
The reason why they're so well studied is because most of the stuff where can I say fuck around and find out?
Fuck yeah, you can. Fuck yeah, you can.
Okay, good. So most of basic neuroscience is fuck around and find out. Yeah. You can't do that in a person. It's not ethical. So you have to do that kind of work. But in those systems, we don't know as much about those areas, but we're learning a lot.
Right.
And we're learning in human clinical trials. There's one of my BCI heroes, Mariam Shineki, is at USC. And her work she was a control theorist that came into BCI, which is not as scary as it sounds. But she worked on a closed loop anesthesia machine, and then she got her own lab, and then she started working on reading out mood. And how do you get access to mood data? Well, there are patients with ECOG electrodes on the surface of their brain that are being monitored for epilepsy. But they're going to be there for 30 days, so you can ask them really interesting questions and they get that kind of data. So we know that mood is encoded in the brain and you can read it out. So we're starting to get at all these interesting things.
Right. Interesting. So you can see someone using a BCI to counteract the feelings of depression or other.
For sure.
I mean, in theory, we're not have to take pharmaceuticals or drugs anymore.
Or it could make taking those pharmaceuticals much easier and much less invasive.
Yeah.
So I always love to make the analogy to the continuous glucose monitor. Glucose monitoring doesn't fix diabetes, right? It's not a cure or therapy for diabetes, but it completely revolutionized diabetes care. When you could get glucose measurements at home and prick your finger, suddenly that brings back some control into your life. As soon as you got a continuous monitor, then in real time when your glucose is dipping, you can make real-time adjustments.
And analyze the patterns and tie it to everything else you're doing.
Yeah, and it became so effective that even people who are just bio-optimizers, want to do it just for working out, monitoring the blood sugar.
Right, and it can tie into my Whoop and my app that I'm using to track everything else, and it's just one more.
Imagine if you had that in your brain, and imagine if it could be hey, you aren't getting enough sleep, you're fixating on that issue with your mom again. So, and it could be...
Thank you for the reminder.
And by the way, take 1 large red pill and 1 small blue pill before you go to bed.